Hi Pisces, this is your general tarot reading for Pisces Sun, Moon and Ascendant or Rising sign for the month of April. And Pisces, it's a magical month. Thank God the energies are changing. So many things are starting to make sense at long bloody last. Okay, so let's get the easier things out of the way. Money, it's going to be shining. It's going to be a great month for you for money. Your financial situation is going to seem a whole lot healthier. And because of the Mercury retrograde, you could find that money that was due to you, that you've been waiting on, is coming back. Or something that you've lent something of value that you've lent to somebody, you thought you'd probably never see it again, that's coming back. Other things that are happening too, you have Venus as you enter April, really giving you the gift of the gab. She's in your third house, so she's making all communication with people that you work with, people, your siblings, your neighbours, anytime you go on short journeys too, even if it's just to work, it's just going to get easier. You're going to find some sense of pleasure from all of these things. Communications also, social media, your phone, anything like that. You might maybe meet somebody through social media. Maybe for those of you who are looking for love, maybe it's exactly where you're going to find your new love, by communicating on Skype or somewhere like that. The Wheel of Fortune, your first card, Pisces, going to lay it down. So they're the really interesting things that are happening. Venus then moves into your fourth house. So she's making your home life run that much smoother. She's going to possibly want you to redecorate some part of your home in some way, even if it's just rearranging the furniture so that it feels more beautiful, or it just makes you happier, it gives you a sense of pleasure. But look, another card jumping out, the High Priestess, laying it down there, gorgeous card. The energies at home will be a lot easier. If any of you Pisceans are not getting along with people in your home, then mid-April it's going to get a lot better. You'll find pleasure in doing stuff with them again, and the love could be rekindled, maybe for some reason or another, maybe because of the heavy stuff you have been going through, Pisces, recently. Maybe, for some of you, it could have gotten a bit difficult with your partners or with your relationships, but mid-April, it's just looking a whole lot better. Love is coming back, Pisces. And here's the big one I want to talk to you about. In March, there was the new moon in Pisces offering you new healing. Then Chiron, the wounded healer, moving out of Pisces in April and into Aries. And the energies now, Saturn going retrograde in your 11th house, Pluto going retrograde in your 11th house, and then Mars joining them to give that more energy. What does all that mean? Okay, Pisces, it means so many things, but let me try to limit it to the most important things, okay? You are going through something quite long term. It's been a long period where you find it quite difficult to define who you are. Now, Pisces is somebody that is quite fluid, as two cards come out, the Hermit, which for me often represents 12th house issues or Neptune issues, even though that's not the traditional meaning. But any time I've spoken about 12th house issues or Neptune, he always appears. The next card was the Nine of Wands. So what is this thing about you not being able to set a true identity out there in the world? You have this feeling of who you are, and yet when you try to put it out there, the world in one way or another rejects it. or doesn't accept it in some way. Perhaps even when you do your thing, people might say, nah, it's not coming from the heart. It's, nah, I don't know, I've seen you doing better, or your life could be better. And you're trying, but yet what other people seem to be seeing in you is not your truth. And it's like trying to push water up a hill. You can't seem to say, this is who I am, pay attention. You know, not like some diva or diva where you're saying, pay attention to me. It's more like, can somebody please see what I'm doing? Can somebody please recognize who I am? Can somebody please stop treating me as an afterthought in their life? Somebody who is always just prepared to do what everybody else wants to do. Can somebody listen to what I want for a change? So that's the struggle. Now, here is the beginning in April of the answer to that, the big turnaround, Pisces. In your effort to say, look at me, this is who I am, and people haven't been really taking it very seriously, you'll realize at some point, through a great sense of healing in the energies that are happening, that you're not supposed to push yourself out. You're actually supposed to put a huge amount of focus and energy on turning inwards, because it's inside you, Pisces, is where the big stuff is happening. As a bunch of cards just come out. Wait, I'll just get the ones that fell on the floor. Hold on. So yeah, the Three of Cups, the Page of Cups, the Ten of Swords. I mean, we knew this was going to come out, Pisces. I think you get this every month. The Two of Pentacles. A couple more cards, Pisces, and I'll continue what I'm saying. You are being put under pressure, not to look outside, but to look inside at your dreams, your desires, your wishes, and your imagination. And I was thinking about this before I did the video. How does that pan out? How do you do that in this modern world? How do you stop pushing? How do you stop trying to assert yourself when that seems to be what the world demands? And how do you justify surrendering all of the external world and retreating into your dreams and wishes and desires? Surely that would only encourage some sort of backlash from people who would tell you, you know, come on, Pisces, you're just a dreamer. We've spoken about this before, Pisces. But it's the dreamers that we depend on. It's you, Pisces, that we now absolutely depend on. Because we always say Pisces is involved in the arts and creativity and music and so on. But what we don't always say is that Pisces is probably the most important philosopher, scientist, discoverer, and inventor. I mean, I wrote down a list. I had to write it down because my memory isn't that great. But I wrote down a list of people who changed the world because they dared to dream big and dream expansively in the way that you're really now being asked to do as you heal now in April, Pisces. I mean, look at Copernicus. This guy resurrected the idea that the Earth revolved around the sun. And he was ridiculed for it. Ridiculed. You've got Michelangelo. He was so out there with what he was doing at the time. It was beyond what people could conceive. Yet he and Copernicus created something that's long lasting. Their imagination, something that's not tangible, created something so durable and everlasting. You've got people like Nina Simone. There's a woman who could have just sang sweet tunes and sat at a piano, and she didn't, because she dreamed bigger. She dreamed that the world could be a better place, and she dreamed of seeing people having rights that didn't have rights. I don't know how many times, can you imagine how many times she was told by people to just shut up and play the hits? But she couldn't, because she had a bigger dream. And her legacy is now enduring. Augusta Savage, the same. Even people like Levi Strauss, he ended up creating denims, something that we can't do without. And of course you have Einstein. And I mean, theoretical physicists, quantum mechanics. Here's a guy who dared to look in places that nobody else would look. And because of that, all of these people have this one thing in common. Through this active act of running into their imagination, they retrieved something rock solid and enduring. You see what I mean? There's a quote, Einstein, Pisces, these are all Pisceans, by the way, that I'm talking about. A lovely quote by Einstein: imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution. And this is how it begins, Pisces. The healing is happening. The change is coming. Aries with Chiron there is pushing you to make yourself the individual. Not because of how other people are defining you, but because of how deep you dive into the endless, uncharted possibilities and return with something so enduring, which is what Saturn in Capricorn is demanding that you do. And retrograde is saying, go back to your old habit of digging deep in your imagination. Pluto the same. And Mars energizing that. This is the time, Pisces, as this card leaps out. Anyone who's on my Facebook page will know this card, 7 of Cups. See where I'm going, Pisces? You're required to go deep. You're required to not anymore feel that you're a nobody. Because as long as you try to keep pushing outside at the moment and keep trying to replicate a normal, whatever the hell that means, existence outside, then you're invisible in some way to the world. But it's that moment where you go into that wonderland, Pisces. Your pure place of imagination, of dreaming of possibilities. That's when you become the healed individual. There's your real identity. And like all of these Pisceans that I just named, they will have a legacy that lives way past your lifetime, our lifetime, and beyond. Pisces, it's a big thing, and you wouldn't be asked to do it if you couldn't. It's the truth. You wouldn't be asked to do it if you couldn't do it. And you wouldn't be asked to do it if you weren't trusted to bring back the new birth of our civilization. And you're probably looking at me going, really? But look, I work as a bank clerk. How am I going to change the world? You tell me. How are you going to change the world? You're saying it's beyond... Look, Copernicus, all these people, Nina Simone, I mean, they were special people. I'm not special. They were people. They were born. They lived. They did stuff. They were no more special than you. 2 cards coming out. The 8 of Pentacles. Judgment. Last card. And I know I've spent a lot of time talking about the energies, 15 minutes, and I hope you've been patient with that. But it's important. It's important for you to know that finally you are really receiving the healing and the truth that's needed for you to celebrate your independence. Because that's what you want to be. You want to be financially independent. You want to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. You want your freedom. And it's this healing and your imagination which ultimately will give you that gift. And in turn will give the rest of us your gift that will live on and on. So let's lighten things up a bit now, Pisces, but I hope you appreciate that. Waiting on the last card, let's see here, it pops out. The 5 of Cups. So Pisces, finally, as I organise the cards here, you'll see what's going on. There's a part of me that feels, I feel you get it. I know you probably want to come to my reading and hear something different, maybe some very specific situation, and maybe the cards here will reveal that. But if you can understand that it's the bigger picture that affects all the small pieces in your life right now, if you understand the thing that I've just spoken about, then these small details in your life will become so much easier. Okay, so Pisces, let's go. Come on. So we begin with the Wheel of Fortune as your first card. Great karmic changes. Everything we spoke about, this is where the wheel is starting to turn. This is a very psychic card also in some cases. I do believe as we enter April, you'll be really feeling these great cosmic shifts. And you'll be feeling more in touch with a very psychic part of yourself, Pisces. I mean, the further you travel inside yourself, the more psychic you are, because that is the root of you. That is the core of you. And you will physically and emotionally, psychologically, psychically feel this wheel turning. You'll feel it. And beside it, we have this gorgeous card, the High Priestess. Deep wisdom, knowledge coming from a place that's hard to define. Again, 2 cards here, Pisces, confirming everything we've just spoken about. The wheel is turning. Your luck is changing for the better. And your deep truths are starting to surface. You know that Pisces new moon there in March was the first moment where you were able to clear the mist away and see some greater truth, something that has more value to you. And it energizes you. It gives you your power. It makes you feel that there really is a world for you to conquer. Persephone, this is her. She was the daughter of Demeter. And it was when it's a long story, but she ended up in the underworld, and a world that a lot of people didn't want to go to. It had a lot of secrets, a lot of mysteries, things that people generally didn't understand, and often dangerous things. You know, people would be, they would consider it like having to go to the deepest, darkest regions, and it made people afraid. But when she arrived there, she reigned over it. It became her kingdom. And this is what's happening. The wheel is turning, your luck is turning, and you will find the area in your life that you can reign over. And like I said, it involves deep, deep wisdom coming from your deep, deep imagination. You get your identity back. The Virgo card here, again, look at this, more deep wisdom, the card of deep introspection, going in and finding your light, your truth, your inner wisdom. And see, he has the staff in his hand, which is supporting him. And it's his wisdom that he's carrying with him into the future, and he feels fully supported by it. He's prepared to do this alone. I do get the sense, Pisces, that you do feel very much like you've been on your own. Sure, you could be surrounded by bunches and bunches of people, but ultimately there is a sense that the road you're walking is one that you have to go alone. But as April comes in, you'll feel more like, I do know where I'm going. You'll be lifting up the light and saying, sure, I might be on my own. I might not be able to share my experiences with a great many people who understand what I'm going through. But at least now I'm holding up my light and I know which direction to go. And which direction is he going? Well, the first thing he's doing is he's basically turning his back on the hardships. Sometimes the Nine of Wands represents building a life and working so hard at building this life that suddenly you look around and see that it's the life that's hemming you in. It's keeping you from going out. What you wanted was a sense of security, so you built a life around yourself, but yet it's that very life which is now giving you problems. It's hemming you in and you want freedom from it. And this is asking you to make one big final push in April. Push through this, get past this, and follow your own truth. And that is when you'll be liberated from all these things that are blocking your way, that could eventually become some of your biggest burdens. Sometimes this card talks about having to endure an awful lot, endure pain, endure hardship in some way. And he feels a bit beaten by it. Now, he's prepared to continue to go on and finish the task, but it's taken the wind out of his sails. And in April, you will stop and you'll say, am I going to continue with this? Am I going to just keep building structures around me to try to support something that doesn't really ring true anymore for me? Or am I going to take a quiet time and look into everything that we've spoken about and try to find some newer truth that doesn't make me feel like this, like that I'm fighting a losing battle in some way, you know? So again, it's a big turning point, turning, turning. And here we have you now, Pisces, celebrating, feeling that you have a great understanding of something. Threes represent two things. They represent understanding, deep understanding, and communicating that deep understanding. Now, we do know that Venus, as we leave March and go into April, Venus is giving you this great ability to understand other people and to share and communicate your love with them, your ideas with them, perhaps even new projects with them. This is also the card of brainstorming new ideas. I think, Pisces, you're really in April feeling motivated to push ahead with new ideas. I can't ignore the fact that because it's beside this card, that for some of you Pisceans, some of you, you may be involved with somebody who's outside of your relationship. Perhaps it's you, perhaps it's your partner, but there is another influence coming between you and your relationship. For some Pisceans, You know, it is that energy of allowing other people basically to bleed into your relationships. So be cautious of that, Pisces, because we know as you're trying to define your world, trying to define your identity, the boundaries can get a little bit blurred. So in some ways, sometimes you could be inviting other people, friends, or even lovers, to come into your life and define you in some way. Because here we have the page. Now the page talks about immature love, young love, or the new first fleeting glances of new love. So for some of you who are in a relationship, perhaps this energy of inviting another person into your relationship seems to be there in April. But for others, for those of you who are single, this is a fantastic thing, because perhaps through a group of people, you are discovering new love. You are receiving nice messages, nice flirtations, nice kind of feeling good that somebody really has the hots for you, basically, Pisces. So that's, again, another big turnaround for you. Sometimes this card represents the first moment where you realize that you're healing, the first moment where you realize that you're able to see yourself clearly. And you're just beginning. This is why it's an immature card. You're just beginning to see that, and you're ready to take that out into the world. You're ready to present that to people. So it's just like I said, the first few moments where you see it, you're ready to take it out and you're ready to share it with other people. Now, I like this. This is the difficult card that you always seem to get, Pisces. This is the one that we've been waiting for. You've been building and building and building towards this. And in April, you finally get the closure that you've been looking for. The closure from the hurt, from the pain, from the feeling that you've been just beaten and knocked to the ground. This is it. In April, the closure is coming. And when it does come, you'll feel that you're just, see him, he's leaving behind all the turmoil. He's putting his first foot down on solid ground that he hasn't seen solid ground for a long time, because he's been dealing with this crap for so long. And he's now beginning to balance things, especially with his finances. In April, you will feel strong financially, and you'll be able to get all your pieces of your life together. It'll just become so much clearer for you in Pisces, in April, Pisces, sorry, as this stuff ends and you begin the juggling act now of saying, oh, great, finally I can get things moving. Finally, I can start balancing stuff on my own, independently of other people, with a sense of wisdom. You know, I like that, Pisces. I like it. I'm going to move the camera up here. Here we have this gorgeous card. Like I said, if you do follow me on Facebook, we've spoken about this, the new moon that happened in Pisces in March. It was the one first bit of healing that shows you that what you are really putting out there, your dreams and wishes, everything we're speaking about, Pisces, who you are in your imagination, who you are in your true self, that's what's going out into the universe. That's what's being projected out there. And what the universe does then in turn, it reflects that back to you. So if you're having, say, problems with your self-worth, very often that can become problems financially. If you're having problems with your identity, very often the universe can reflect that back to you by surrounding you with people who tell you who you are and make you get lost in the crowd. And it's this lovely awakening to that, where you realize that a lot of this is down to what I'm putting out there. A lot of my life really is down to my energy and my dreams, desires, wishes and hopes, my imagination, my creativity really does shape what the universe echoes back to me. So if you are coming out now, see, this is you in the shadows, finally stepping out of the shadow and looking into this fantastic universe. If you are going to dream and project something out there for it to echo back to you, then at least make it beautiful and make it worthwhile. And you see, once you figure this out, Pisces, which you will, with or without me telling you this, it's going to be like something that you just suddenly understand, that you are the creator of your future. You are the creator of your dreams, wishes and desires for the future. When you realize that, you will have this intense desire to run with that, to focus on it, and to, how would you say, fix it, master it. I mean, this guy has his head down and he's just focused on his job. And what he wants to do is he wants to take raw material, something that hasn't really been of much use before, and turn it into something of huge value. And he's going to master that skill. It's the skill you're going to master, Pisces. And it will, I'm just getting such great vibes from that, because it's so important to you. When you realize that your imagination is a commodity, it is a raw material, it can be turned into something of immense value. And you will realize that you can never again ignore the raw material, the gold mine, the platinum mine, which is your imagination. It is the mine that holds the most valuable asset, the most valuable raw materials. The end of April, and the energy through April basically, will be this. Scorpio energy, Scorpio going retrograde in your 11th house. This is the big call, the trumpet call. This is why April is so fantastic. Karmic. Everything will be brought up to the surface for you to look at, for you to review and determine whether it's of value to you in your life. Friends particularly, there's a lot of energy with your circle of friends. Friends particularly, you might want to have a look at them to see if you're attracting people in your environment who aren't a good influence on you. Maybe they're very nice people, genuinely good people, but perhaps they only know you as being somebody who goes along with their plans. And if you do try to change and become this new person, perhaps they mightn't be quite satisfied with that. They'll say, oh, what the hell are you doing? Snap out of it. Get back and get with the group. And this card won't let you do that. This card will force you to really have a good, long look at your environment, at the people who you surround yourself with, and look to see if they're actually serving you in some way, or are they just, I don't know, are they just making you feel bad in yourself? So it's a big one, but this card is generally calling up all the shit that needs to be faced and healing it, once and for all, healing it. And your last card, the 5 of Cups. The great healing is coming, and it's going to hurt a little bit, Pisces, but you know, it would hurt more if you stayed stuck, put it that way. There will, in any healing, in any great realization, in any moment where you realize that you're going to have to make big changes in your life, or indeed that the universe itself is giving you these big changes, there will be a moment of reflection, of feeling a bit sad about having to say goodbye to something. But the truth of it is that it's not over. See, The old way of doing things is over, but there's more where that came from. Fives always represent a severity. It's a margin energy. 5 is always a margin energy. It feels that after a turmoil or a period where everything was heightened and things just went crazy, there's always that moment where you feel, can I fix this? Have I gone too far? Is there anything worth salvaging? And the answer is, of course there is. Because, like I said, even though there is this great turning in your life and endings and so on like that, there will be things that you can salvage. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to just wake up one morning with a bag and just hit the road to all places weird and wonderful. And some of you actually might be doing that with the moon, full moon in the 9th house on the last day of April. But for most of you Pisces, it will just be a moment at the end of the month where you'll say goodbye to the old. You'll shed a little tear, but you will run, run, run with this wonderful new healing, new future, a new turning point in your life, Pisces. It's going to be gorgeous, and it's certainly magical. And I'm just going to read this quote again from Albert Einstein. Pisces: imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution. Giving birth to your evolution, Pisces. And I wish you the best in all your beautiful new world. I love you so much, Pisces. I'm going to give you a big kiss for luck as you enter this new journey. Mwah. See you next time, Pisces.